So now we're recording a dialogue by Satan from Book 1 of Paradise Lost. So it's basically saying right after he took the battle to God and was thrown out into hell, he's now like recovering, like shaking off his days of having suddenly fallen into this pit of despair, and ever burning dark sulfur. He's like, whoa, what just happened? So he looks around, he sees Beelzebub, who is his second in command, and he's just looking at Beelzebub with wonder, like, whoa, you look different, but you were such a beautiful and bright angel in heaven, but look what happened now. So he looks at Beelzebub and he starts laying out his plans and his eternal rebellion. Regardless of having been punished and cast into hell, Satan isn't giving up an inch. So here he starts. If thou beest he, but oh, how fallen, how changed from him who, in the happy realms of light, clothed with transcendent brightness, didst outshine myriads, though bright. If he whom in mutual league united thoughts and counsels, equal hope and hazard in this glorious enterprise joined with me once, now misery has joined in equal ruin, into what pit thou seest, from what height fallen, so much the stronger proved he with his thunder. Until then, who knew the force of those dire arms? Yet not for those, not for the potent victor in his rage can else inflict, do I repent or change. Though change in outward luster, that fixed mind and high disdain from sense of injured merit, that with the mightiest raised me to contend, and to the fierce contention brought along innumerable force of spirits armed, that durst dislike his reign, and, me preferring, his utmost power with adverse power opposed in dubious battle on the plains of heaven, and shook his throne. What though the field be lost? All is not lost. The unconquerable will, and steady of revenge, immortal hate, and courage never to submit or yield, and what else not to be overcome. That glory never shall his wrath or might extort from me. To bow and sue for grace would supplant me and deify his power, who, from the terror of this arm, so late doubted his empire. That were low indeed. That were an ignominy and shame beneath this downfall, since by fate the strength of gods and this imperial substance cannot fail, since, though experience of this great event, in arms not worse, in foresight much advanced, we may with more successful hope resolve to wage by force or guile eternal war, irreconcilable to our grand foe, who now triumphs, and in the excess of joy, sole reigning, holds the tyranny of heaven. So this is what Satan tells Beelzebub. We're fallen here, but yet not for those, nor what the potent victor in his rage can else inflict, do I repent or change. We're here, but because we took the war from him to him, and we cannot be destroyed, this imperial substance cannot fail, then we will just continue our rebellion, because his Satan's is mentally obdurate, if mental is the right adjective to use for this sort of being. He says, immortal hate and courage never to submit or yield. He refers to the fact that the very nature of his that caused him to battle God in heaven is going to be the reason he doesn't submit yet, because he says, that fixed mind and high disdain from sense of injured merit, that with the mightiest raised me to contend. The very mentality that raised him to fight the war will make him continue to rebel and not submit. But he ends this passage on a sort of upbeat note, so to speak. He says, well, we're more experienced, we're not weaker in arms, we cannot, it's not like he can dissolve us, we're angels. We can keep going and wage by force or guile. He doesn't have to fight he doesn't have to fight God anymore, necessarily. He can use guile. By force or guile, eternal war, irreconcilable to our grand foe, who now triumphs. Since the war has just been concluded, he now triumphs, and in the excess of joy, sole reigning, holds the tyranny of heaven. So it's a bit of a metaphor for a literal rebellion within a kingdom. And in Christian language, this is basically often used, right? God on his throne and his kingdom of heaven. So it makes sense to say, well, then Satan was like someone who rebelled against a king on his throne.